my gosh, I'm so excited. Welcome to Leslie's Lowdown on Live. I have two of my favorite people in the whole world here today, and you're going to know them too, and you're going to know them even more after we're done. But we have the former president of KHQ, Patricia McRae, is here, and then Stephanie Vigil, former main anchor of KHQ NonStop Local, is here as well. You guys, thank you so much for being here.
Are you kidding? When you asked, you're like, heck yeah.
I just think this is so fun because you guys are part of the foundation. Like, you're the foundation of this mighty Q that was built.
She's the foundation.
Yeah.
How many years?
Well, 30.
30 years.
30 years.
I'm just shy of 25, so
Oh
she's
my
the rock.
gosh.
She's the rock.
But you guys were babies when you started. So, like, what, 12?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Something
12.
like that.
Yeah,
Something like
that
that. But I love this because, again, part of the foundation, and I call it the golden era because I watched and I always wanted to work here and I always wanted to work with both of you. And so for me, it was a dream come true. But I really wanted to talk about like just how everything got started, what your journey was. And then I want to talk about these second chapters, the second act that you are both in right now, because I love your lives. All right. So Patricia, WSU.
Yes.
Grad.
Yes. Yep.
So homegrown girl.
Yep. Born and raised in Spokane. Grew up in the Gonzaga district. My dad was a avid Gonzaga fan. Watched John Stockton play in the old gym. Went to St. Aloysius, and always knew I wanted to go to WSU. So graduated from there. My first job was in Bakersfield, California. So I went all over the country. I went to Bakersfield. I was in Reno, San Jose, San Francisco, Miami. Ended up back in Reno, which is my husband lured me back. It's where I got married. And kind of trying to figure out where I wanted to go next. Took a kind of sabbatical after Miami. I was in Reno, and Lon Lee, who was my predecessor, called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, what would you think about coming to Spokane to be the news director here?" And I was like, "Nope. Grew up there, never coming home."
Isn't that the way it goes?
And he was like, "Oh, you grew up there, up top of the list." And he goes, "Well, just fly up here and, check it out and, come see your mom." And, I'm like, okay, a free trip home to see mom, I'll do that. And I did. And this place was a disaster.
Was it?
It was a disaster. We were up the old station up on Regal Street, and
it looked like the home of the Jetsons.
It did, actually.
The control room was a disaster. The producer didn't even face the monitors to look at the anchors. The producer was facing a wall. And I walked in and I'm like, "No, I can't work here. I know." And he was like, "Oh, no, we're going to change everything." And he had all these plans that he was showing me. And I was like, I wonder if this guy really means, if he really means what he says he is going to do, this is pretty great. So I went back to Reno and thought about it and took the job. And I couldn't believe it, but I took the job. My mom was like, "Take the job."
She was ecstatic, yeah.
So I
Like
took the
any mom
job.
would.
And that was, well, now I've been retired for 2 years. So that was 32 years ago. And, I never looked back. I mean, he kept every single promise. And that's the reason that I stayed. And Betsy, the Coles, they kept every promise to me that Lon had made. And so, that's kind of the story. And, I worked hard and lots of changes in the news department and rallied the troops. And wow, it was a
Nobody worked harder.
It was a hard
No.
job.
Yeah.
It was a hard
Would
job.
you say that you kind of stepped into like a man's world? Like, was it predominantly like men who were running stations or news directors at that time?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, I always, no matter every job I was in, my first news director's job, I was 25. And
It's a baby.
it was always, I always got the article in the newspaper. The first woman news director in the market in Reno, in San Jose, in Miami. I mean, it was almost hilarious because every newspaper wanted to do this story on me, and I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. I was like, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. You just go in and you just do the job. And I just am not that way because I'm not one of those women who is like, I am a woman. I like my car doors opened. I like flowers. I'm just, I'm not an activist.
You're a hard worker.
I'm just a hard worker.
With a vision.
Yeah. And so I'm not one of those that just screams feminist. I'm not.
You're not look at me. You're just getting the job done.
I'm just here to get the job done. And I get along with men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I get men, and I can play the politics.
Yeah.
And that's why I got where I think that's where I got where I was.
Did you want to be in front of the camera ever, or did you always want to be behind the scenes
I
and help
tried
develop?
once in Bakersfield. I had a really bad experience in Bakersfield. I was a reporter, and my very first out of the gate had a bad experience with a guy who broke into my apartment, and it was not good.
That's the scary side of
yeah.
the business.
Yeah, and I mean, I know what you guys go through. I absolutely, and I was there 6 months as a reporter, and this guy was just stalking me. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to be on this side of the camera. Plus, I didn't really enjoy it. I wanted more control of the show and putting things together. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the writing of all of it. But it was a scary time when he broke into my apartment, and I came home from work one day and my door was open a little bit, and it was my mom and dad said, "You're done. You're out of this business. You're not. This is not." And so I came home back to Spokane, and from there I was a producer.
That's your empathy for the people that work for you. I mean, honestly, you've always been super empathetic as to what.
I tell you, it's real. What you guys
Mm-hmm.
go through is real. There are crazy people who.
Well, I mean, I had a couple stalkers myself.
Yeah, so,
And you went through that with me.
Yeah. So anyway, so no.
So no, you wanted to be behind the scenes and kind of
yes.
but you have it's like you're a visionary. So talk about that, because this is where I want to pull in Stephanie, because but being on the other side of it and watching how I call it chess pieces, you're always good about pulling the right chess pieces together, don't you think?
Oh,
I mean, you're
there's
just
no
so
question.
good at being able to look at a big picture and go, this is going to work and this is going to work. We're going to try this.
You have great foresight.
Yes, you do. So when you were putting your teams together, talk about how that looked for you.
I don't know. I mean, it's I had a lot of good people around me to help me. And I think it's that effort of team around you that helps form those teams. And it's not just one person. It can't be just one person. So, I always thought I had a good eye for journalists and, who looked good on camera, but who was a strong journalist. I mean, you have to have both. You can't just have eye candy. But that's important. You have to have people that look good, that the audience connects with, and they like what they see. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's part of our job. It's entertainment. That's a visual. It's entertainment. But you have to have the other side too. They have to speak well, and they have to be a journalist, and they have to know what they're talking about. So, you have to have that. And I felt like because I was a strong journalist. I had that strong journalism side. So I felt like I had that balance. And That's why I chose YouTube.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
But I did reject her once.
Yeah, you
You
did.
did? So I did not know that. I'm
Yes,
just
years
learning
ago.
that.
Years ago. Oh, I
Isn't that
laughed. I'm like,
funny?
seriously?
How
It
things
was a
work
great
out,
interview.
though.
She didn't even pick me.
Oh, and I regretted it every day. And
Oh,
so I got a second chance at it.
Yes. It was meant to be.
Yeah,
was.
I remember Patricia Clem back then. It
Yep,
wasn't
I
even
wasn't
McRae.
married.
And I drove up to Reno from Sacramento, and I was on the radio. That's where I started. And so I wanted to make the transition to television. And so we had interviewed, and she ended up picking
Troy Hayden.
Troy Hayden, who was Alan Freo's son.
Yes,
and he was hard copy, right?
Yes.
Alan Freo. This is like so long ago.
so long ago.
But it was great because, even that no led me down another path and then eventually right back to where I belong, which was with you for 25 years.
Yes.
You retired.
Oh, I still remember our interview here in Spokane. We went to Clinker Daggers for dinner.
And we went to Luna for lunch.
Yeah.
Clinker Dagger for dinner. Coeur
a good
d'Alene,
day.
Idaho.
My husband, Kevin, was with us. And I remember after dinner, we went home and Kev looks at me and he goes, "You better hire her."
Oh.
Yeah.
I love
mean,
Kev.
he was just like, "You better hire her. She has got the full package. She is a sweetheart. She's smart." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're hiring her."
The greatest thing ever is that when I talk about my mentors, and I didn't have a mentor prior, you're my mentor. You've always been through thick and thin. We've had the best days, we've had the best ratings, we've had the best seasons, but we also raised two children that were the exact same age. Well, I mean, weeks apart. And so when we would talk about it, because we both worked hard, we both had very difficult shifts to raise children. And so that was the one thing I was like, she is not just and it wasn't like, "Hey, will you be my mentor?" It was like we had so many things in common. Plus we were doing the same life and we were on the same team that it just became like, "Hey, I've got this situation that I need help with." And like, "Okay, let's talk it through, or come to my house, or call me on the phone," or whatever it might be, to the point where I'm like, "Oh my gosh," my mentor became one of my best friends.
Yes.
And biggest supporters.
And I think as a manager, the most important thing as a manager is you have to get to know your employees, and you spend more time with your staff
Yeah.
than with your family.
It's true.
And you have to get to know them, and you have to have empathy for the people that you are with. And if you don't know them and care about their families, then you're not going to have a successful business. And I don't care what business you're in.
Right.
It's true.
You have to allow your employees to live their life with their families and care about that. And they're going to have issues with their families.
Absolutely.
And so you're going to go through their marriages, their births, their divorces, their sicknesses. You're going to go through it all with them.
Parents' death.
Yes.
All of it.
All of it. And hopefully you're going to go through all of it because they're going to want to stay with you through it all. And I think the thing that I'm most proud of is I had so many employees that stayed for years. I mean, years. And
25.
and I look at businesses now, and I look at the staffs and the turnovers, and I wonder why. Is it a generational thing, or I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. You've got to care because their family should come first. But a lot of times businesses think that they come first because that's where you're making your money. But the truth of it is that sometimes you lose them because they don't want to be with you. You don't respect them, and therefore you don't care much about their families. So why would you stay someplace you're not wanted?
And it starts from the top.
It does.
And the Coles family, they really do care about their people. And sometimes they get a bad rap in this community, but I got to tell you, I wouldn't have stayed 30 years. I mean, they they treated me like family.
Mm-hmm.
And if there was ever an issue with my family or anything that I was going through, it came first. I mean, it just absolutely came first. And there's not a lot of broadcast companies out there that
No.
treat you that way, especially when you're at that level. I mean, it's cutthroat. And so, I mean, I owe Betsy and Stacy so much for my career because they treated me like family.
And they do. I mean, it is a family-owned business. They treat you like
One
family.
of the very few
Very
family-owned,
few,
Well,
yes.
left.
right,
in the
television industries.
Right.
And then you kind of carried that down to the rest of us, meaning that if we had something going on, if there was a bad moment, if there was something we needed to work through, and I mean, we've been through our stuff,
Well, I
and
think
you've
about
walked with
the
us.
3 months
Well,
sabbatical you
yeah.
gave me. You know, I mean,
Well,
I hit a wall.
yeah.
I was
Well-
like, and you never said, well, we don't. Well, you said we don't give 3 month sabbaticals, but then you're like, well, maybe we do.
Well, and I was hard on people too. I mean, definitely. I mean, there's certain people that probably didn't like what the way I managed, and you know what, but that's okay too, because I wasn't here to be everybody's friend. I was here to do a job, and I was being
Right.
paid to do a job, and sometimes you have to be hard nosed and be the bad guy, and I wasn't afraid to do that, but.
Kind of like a mom.
Well,
You
yeah.
can't be your kid's best friend. Sometimes you have to be.
And there were days
Yeah.
that I would go home and it was hard days. There were hard days, when you have to let somebody go because they weren't working to the standard of what you needed. But, yeah. Whew, I'm glad some of those days are gone.
Oh yeah, no, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, you don't. Those days are past you for sure.
Let's talk about Steph.
Yeah, so Stephanie, I mean, Stephanie, you're right there. And I almost don't want to I don't want to open that door because then that means you guys walk out and leave me again.
I never.
So Patricia, you got that second chance with Patricia. You came here, you moved from Northern California
Right, Sacramento.
to Spokane, Washington. And I remember watching you when you were pregnant with Jonathan.
Who was
and-
26 yesterday?
Who was 26
Crazy.
yesterday. Oh my gosh.
26.
And Nick and Annie are 30.
30. We have 30-year-olds.
Yeah. And
What happened?
they
What happened?
were babies together.
Isn't that crazy? And it goes
They went to
fast.
the same daycare together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Green Gables.
We have pictures of them at the Green Gables together.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was awesome. Yeah. So coming here was my first opportunity to anchor. And then with Dan, it was just instant chemistry. Like we just had something that you couldn't buy. And I think that was really the foundation of what we grew and built together. So 3.5 years, I think it was, on the morning show and then the evenings.
And I think the morning show, they were the first team, I think, in Spokane that made the morning show what it became.
It was hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
They just let their personalities
Yep.
go, and we let them let their personalities go.
Never complained about anything, even Dan throwing snowballs at the green screen. Right.
Right.
Just the craziest stuff.
I just kept saying, this is great. Do the news.
Yes.
Let the news be what it is. Be serious journalism. And then have fun, because people in the morning want to have fun. And so we let that breathe. And they created that format.
Right.
It was awesome. It was and I loved it. And it was actually hard to transition to evenings because evenings were so quick and you had to tell the hard news.
Right.
There really was no time to let anything breathe because it was 30 minutes instead of a 2-hour segment. So it was hard to almost transition and then all of a sudden become so buttoned up and serious when you were
Yes.
used to having a great time in the mornings. But
It is a different format. It really is a different format to swing from mornings to nights, having done them both now at
Yeah.
this point. But talk about some of the different people that have come in and out, because we do see a lot
Oh,
of people
wow.
who have come in and out of the
colorful
building.
characters.
I should have brought all the rosters of 30 years of employees and put them all along.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. I know.
Yes.
Dan and I used to say we should have a drinking game. And you just start naming off people. And as soon as someone pauses, like, take a drink. There were thousands of them, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Hundreds at
But
least.
there are those that stand out. Like, I mean, I feel like KHQ has just put out some incredible talent.
Yes.
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 Well,
So,
I think we have fun. I mean, it's
yeah.
not, it's a place where everyone likes each other.
Yep.
So it makes it super easy. There hasn't been the competition that could be in some other stations and the backbiting or anything like that. That was never a part of what we wanted. We just simply had a good time.
It was like-minded people.
And I think people come here to grow too.
Yes.
And young. I mean, oh boy, I look in the newsroom now. I don't recognize a single soul.
No.
They're just babies.
They're babies.
They're babies. They're so
For what
and-
we were.
Yes, I know, and it goes so fast.
Oh boy,
Oh
does
boy,
Yeah.
it goes so fast. I remember when you put Stephanie and I on the air together on evenings. It was me, Stephanie, and Dan. I'm like, are we going to get a call from Patricia? Like when we were doing the 10 and 11, because we would have way too much fun.
She probably fell asleep. Wasn't even watching us.
Oh, I was watching. I watch so many newscasts. Oh my gosh. I don't watch as many newscasts anymore.
Yeah, that's good for you though.
Yeah.
And that's what I love because you guys did this job to the fullest, right? You made this the best place it could be. And you made everybody feel welcome. You taught people, you grew people, you helped them move along. You helped the people who are still here, me being one of them, want to continue to grow. And now you retired at the same time, basically.
Practically.
Yeah.
Which I'm shocked that you
I know.
left when I did.
I know.
Wow. That still is.
It was bold. It was bold. I mean, especially because I was so set up before I left. I mean, you had set me up. You're like, okay, how many years do you want? I mean, this is where, but when I went on my sabbatical and realized it was time, you also gave me that opportunity to go live another life, which I am. And I absolutely love it. And I made the decision a little bit more a knee-jerk and sporadic. Yeah, whereas yours was timed out. We knew about it ahead of time. I remember calling you after Annie's shower and saying, I need to talk to you. And so it was, I would say, for lack of a better word, an awakening.
I do want to talk about that. So, because now you guys you've both left and you've got your second chapters, but they're so different, but they're so fulfilling. And I love watching you guys. So, talk about that because now you are an auctioneer.
How did that happen?
How did that happen?
It's so funny. It happened because remember I was very much into pickleball and I was doing the apparel and I thought I would love that and creating the whole line was awesome. But going down to San Diego and realizing that I am not 30, 20, and I can't go do pop-ups like a young person anymore. And I'm a one-man band and I don't know how to make Instagram reels, none of it. It was like I hit a wall and I hit a wall to the point where I was like, what now? It wasn't that I wanted to go back. It was that I didn't know what to do going forward. And so I had come to a point where I was, I don't know, sad, depressed, shaky. My son Jonathan called me and I just melted. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then Nick must have felt it because he called right after his brother. And I was like, I need to sit and think, and so I just spent some time really thinking about what am I good at? What can I do? And I remember one of the things that KHQ gave me was the ability to give back to the community. So we had done so many things for people in the community, and I always felt so good about that afterward. And I'm like, okay, think about the nonprofits that you've helped over the years and how that made you feel. You're not afraid to be on the microphone. You can speak to people. And so then I remember talking to Rose Banks, one of the auctioneers in town. I was emceeing an event with her, and I looked over at her and I said, when I grow up, I want to be like you. And I was like, I think I'm going to go to auctioneering school. So I went to college in Bozeman and got certified to be an auctioneer. And literally that path has led to so many open doors, windows. I jumped through them all, but have met so many people and am so happy to say that, I'm making rent now.
So how many events do you do? Like a
Well, I'm
month?
doing one up here this weekend. No, so last year, it's so funny. I mean, going from being the main anchor at KHQ to going, oh, I'm making what I made when I was in my 20s, my very first job last year. But happy to say that this year I've tripled my business. A lot of it's on referrals. A lot of it is retained business from last season. And so I have a full schedule for next season where I'm almost completely booked up every single weekend.
Season?
Okay. So in the auctioneering world, it's mainly, especially if you do benefits and galas, it's 3 months on, 3 months off. So it's spring and then fall. So now I'm doing March, April, May. Then I have June, July, August off. So I'm traveling. And then I do September, October, November. And then I go back out to travel December, January, February.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
I kind of like that. I mean,
No
that sounds like
contract.
a good
I don't have
schedule.
to sign a contract. I don't have to be here for 5, 6, 10, or 11. It's a weekend gig, but I like doing things like during the week anyway without a big crowd. So if I'm going to go do something, I'll just do it on a Wednesday or a Thursday.
And you're
So.
good. You're a great auctioneer. You are like, it's almost like
we worked together.
we did an event together.
Hey, don't look at her like that.
No, you know why? You could get a drowning man to drink 10 gallons of water. You could.
Do you have to talk fast?
I try to.
She does. She does. She is just, for some reason, she's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I kind of bribe them. It's kind of like when I worked a contract out with you. I twisted your arm.
No.
You're going to give me 5 years.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Can I get 5 years? Who's going to give me 5?
Super fun. I love making money for good causes.
Yeah.
It's, that whole adrenaline rush again, almost like I got with breaking news. I get that again with the whole thing. And I don't know, it just gives me great pleasure. Like I could do this until I'm 75 years old.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know.
Yeah. So it's a great second half.
It's a great second half. And then you moved on from you were everywhere. You traveled all over the place. Sometimes I was like, do you know what time zone you're in? Because you were so all over the place and managing so many different things. And now you're just Grammy, right?
I am just Grammy. I have a boring life.
I love that.
And I love my life.
Yes.
Yep. I have a 2-year-old granddaughter. My life went from 180 miles an hour to, 0. But I am loving life. Sometimes I wish I would have retired sooner. It's, every day is different. We are now just getting into doing some traveling. Spent a month in Hawaii and Mexico just recently. On a whim, we went down and watched the Zags at the WCC. We drove, took a road.
Did you?
Fun.
We did a road
Do you still
trip.
have the RV?
No, we sold the RV, but we have a toy hauler so my husband can take his motorcycles. But we didn't take that. We just took the truck and we just did a road trip because we could.
I know. I'll meet you there next year.
Because we had the time and just, took our time, drove down there. It was very fun. Oh, man, it was fun because they won.
Yeah.
But, those kinds of things that I could never do before.
Mhm.
That, when, we went to Mexico and we said, should we just stay another week? Oh, okay.
I know.
Things like that you just can't do. Somebody once asked me, what's the best part about being retired? And it's Sundays. Sunday nights is the best part because you don't have to think about getting up on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Sunday nights was always the, get ready. And especially if I was traveling on a Monday, it's like just this stress-free on a Sunday night. I look at my husband who's retired as well now, and we say, let's stay up till midnight. Oh, let's stay up till midnight. Let's eat cookies and milk and stay up till midnight and binge watch something because we can sleep till 9 a.m. if we want.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it took me a long time, a year after I retired, to just let go and be able to not feel guilty about doing.
You're so structured.
Right.
And I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, I almost feel guilty for not working when I'm like, wait,
Me too.
I don't have to. I can
I know.
enjoy and do, like you said, whatever. Like, coffee doesn't have to be the same place every time on the couch. I could have coffee in bed and talk for, well, you know what I
Yes.
mean? Just
Yeah.
do whatever you want, whenever
Whatever
you want.
Yeah.
And that's never been a
No.
real thing.
Yeah, it's I'm really close to my daughter, and so it's been very fun. We live 10 minutes apart. I see her every day, and it's just been so fun to be around her and my son-in-law. I call him my son because he's become my son, and just helping raise the 2-year-old, and I watch her. And she's, how did you do this? I'm like, you only have one. Yeah, how did you do this? I'm like,
Yeah.
I did it without any help. You've got your parents here. You've got his parents here.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like, oh, good gracious.
She only knows what she knows.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly
That is
right.
so
But
true.
It's, I really realized how important family is, and being around
It's a good
around
life.
her, being able to be, with her and a part of her life has been one of the greatest joys of retirement.
Yeah.
And so earned and well deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same.
What advice would you guys give to people? I'm going to say first, getting into this business now, because you're on the other side of it and you're able to now look at it as opposed to be in the middle of it. What would you tell people that are wanting to do this job?
Well, at dinner last night, I said to you, run, but I didn't really mean that.
I know.
I would say that journalism matters.
Yes.
It matters. And TV might not be around, 10 years from now. I don't know. I don't know where we're going. I don't know where it's headed, whether it's like this, ultimately podcasting, streaming, but journalism matters. And so I just hope the colleges are teaching the students balance, non-biased journalism, stop listening to the cable channels. They're not journalism. They're hosting political views. They are not what you should be learning.
Yeah.
And so stop listening to the networks.
Yeah.
Because they're not doing real journalism. There's stories, yes, in there. That's wonderful stories. So look at some of those, but balance, writing, journalism. That's what we need.
And I would say it's not about you.
Yes.
It is. If you're wanting to be famous, this is not where you need to be. You need to go to Hollywood. If you want to be a good journalist, it's not about you. It's about your community. It's about finding the truth. It's about having integrity. And it is truly about representing what really, really matters the most.
Truth
and
in
that's your
journalism.
community.
Yeah.
So,
And really vet out who you work for, because there are a lot of companies that want you to report a certain way, and don't work for them.
yeah.
Unless you want to become that way. I was taught that you never share your political view ever.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should know whether you're independent, Republican, or Democrat. Nobody should know that in a newsroom. It's sad today that everybody knows everybody's political view.
Yeah.
And so many pointing fingers, you know? Yeah.
You can't do your job if somebody knows that you are a Democrat or somebody knows that you're a Republican, because you instantly have a bias.
Yeah. I always say don't break bread with those that you might have to interview. You know, the ones, the leaders in town, you don't want to be their friends. You have to remain unbiased, and you have to truly be committed to this job, because journalism is more. And I would say don't ask so many questions. Open your ears and
That's right.
listen.
And you know what? I don't know. I don't know if we can get back to that ever. Sadly, I really don't. So I don't know what's going to happen to journalism. There's so much fake news. There's, with AI, I don't believe anything that I read on social media, on the internet. I don't know what's true, what is not true. So myself as a trained journalist, if I can't decipher what's true and what's not, the general masses, how do they decipher what's true and what's not?
Yeah.
So how do we get back to real journalism? Sadly, I don't know. I don't have the answer.
No.
And I don't know.
That was my thesis at Gonzaga for my master's. Where will we be in the next 10 years? And that's the hardest part, is that you don't know, because there's so much noise out there that you have to shut it off and realize that if we continue to make this noise and everyone's got an opinion, and algorithms will always pull you in a direction that, is going to essentially, you're going to be fighting a cause and you don't even know what that cause is about.
Don't you guys feel like social media, because for me looking at it, and I would imagine you guys too, I don't want to speak for you, but social media was a game changer. So
100%.
much. That's where the noise really just picked up. And that's where we're getting so much of that fake news.
Makes me sad.
Yeah, me too.
It does me too.
I mean,
'Cause
there's
trust.
it's
there's
trust.
good things
Yeah.
about social media.
Of course.
There's great things about technology. It's moving our world forward, and I love that. But it's destroying the industry of journalism, and it makes me sad, because I don't know, how do you get that back? I don't know. And for my granddaughter's generation, what is going to be the truth?
Yeah.
How are they going to decipher the truth? I don't know.
And the hardest part is that the ones that are doing it right still get so much blame. They're not believed, and so you don't know anymore. You just simply don't know.
And
it makes it hard.
Local
It's
is so
confusing.
important. And what we do
Yes.
here, it's so important. And, it's stations like this that, carry the flag. They have to carry the flag and remain constant. And I believe that there's still the right people in place here that can teach these young kids coming in the right way and
Here's what I love.
cover the
We
community.
still don't put anything out on the air unless it's vetted. I love that. Like nothing goes on the air until it's 100% vetted.
As it should be.
And I love that's
Well,
the way
I
it
always
should be.
said it's better to be second
Yes.
than it is first, because it's better to be second
And
and
right.
right
Yes.
than it is to be first.
Exactly.
It's better to be
exactly.
last and right than
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
to be first.
You don't want to have to backtrack and go back and say we didn't have that
And-
information right.
And we've done that. That's happened more times than than I.
It happens.
to the best of
It
us.
happens.
Yep.
What advice would you guys give because give people, because you have made that leap? You made the leap into the second chapters of your lives, which are again different but so amazing. And I think it's scary. I mean, I say that from myself, looking at retirement and making that next jump into what I might want to do. But whether it be this business or any other business, what advice would you give?
Lean into it. On the other side of fear is like a whole new future. You know, I mean, if you don't take a chance, I always, my end line is do not put shoulda, woulda, coulda on my grave because I don't want that to be my story.
Mine was always, well, they did it. Why can't I do it? So
Go big or go home.
there we go. Oh, you guys, thank you so much. This was
Oh.
incredible. Loved having you here. Love seeing
Love
your
you,
faces.
Leslie.
Miss you more than you know.
I know.
The
And
band
thank
is
you.
back
The
together.
band, I know. And now I don't want to let you go. But you know what? Honestly, thank you for building what you built because it makes it easy to move forward, even though I miss you more than I can even tell you. Yeah. All right, gang. Go make the rest of your days the best of your days. We'll see you next time.